Doing a water crossing where I've got crocodiles swimming around me is not my idea of a good day out. I don't like deep water crossings on the best of days, but with crocodiles, it's a big no from me. Anyway, in this video, we're going to unpack a bunch of learnings from a crossing up in the Northern Territory called Cahill's Crossing. It's a tidal crossing on a river. It does feature in quite a lot of entertaining videos, shall we say. Let's unpack this one from a few years ago and see what we can learn. I'm going to just run the video right the way through so that we can all get a sense of where this is going, and then we'll start to unpack it. Now, if you're seeing things as you're watching the video and you want to comment, let us know down below. What are you seeing? What can we learn together from this video?
The influx of water at Cahill's Crossing has caused the river to reach dangerous levels. Communities in Arnhem Land are now cut off. It hasn't stopped some locals from trying to get through though. A car has been washed off and is precariously pinned on the rocks. The passengers have all been taken to safety, but as the current increases, the car is at risk of being swept away. The huge number of crocs in this stretch of river makes it a deadly place to park. The locals have no choice but to brave the river and try to salvage the vehicle themselves. The tow rope snaps under enormous pressure. As the driver tries to reconnect the rope, the current sweeps him off his feet. The crocs are getting interested. It's a close call. They decide to try from the other side. With each move, the car comes dangerously close to being swept downstream. It's no use. After hours of trying to free the vehicle, the water levels have risen, and the presence of large crocs makes it too risky to continue. Luckily, the locals look after each other around here, and a digger working nearby has come to lend a hand. The vehicle is free and the people are safe, but it's a harsh reminder of the dangers in braving the crossing. One day, the crocs may get lucky.
Pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? All right, let's duck back to the beginning and work our way through this. Let us know down below what you've seen and what got the wind up you straight away. There's a few things in there for me. Okay, so let's just start in here where we first see the vehicle stuck and make some observations.
And is precariously pinned on the rocks.
So the first thing is, when you do water crossings in fast flowing water, the amount of pressure that side loads the vehicle is huge, and you can't underestimate it. So you might think I'm in a big tough four-wheel drive. You're not. all right? You're not. When water's concerned, it's just going to do what it wants with you, all right? I've seen big vehicles get pushed around by water. The side loading can be massive, so be well aware of that if you're going into a fast flowing water. The second thing I want to talk about is complacency, and I tell you what, I am prone to this. It's something I have to get better at myself, is I become complacent and go, she'll be right, mate. And that's not cool. It gets you into trouble. So, you know, this could be a situation where the driver of this vehicle does this crossing regularly. He knows how it can work and he gets away with it 99% of the time. But this one day, the water was a little bit faster flowing, something was slightly different, and it was enough to get him into this predicament. And all of a sudden, you're in a world of hurt. And I'm prone to that. So it's something I'm trying to get better at in my just general life thing, but it's certainly something to be aware of, is complacency. Okay, let's continue rolling on. So we can see that the police have turned up now. People are there to help get people out of the vehicle. That's great. You know, we're trying to manage the situation. All right, you can see the crocodiles. Pretty exciting stuff there. All right, now we're down into the recovery. Okay, so we've got a lot of people involved in the recovery, and I understand that. Everybody wants to get in and help. I will say as well, in these communities, now I don't have an extensive amount of knowledge nor experience with the Aboriginal communities here in Australia. I do know a few Aboriginal people, and they're lovely people from what I've found. At the end of the day, they're just people like you and me. But a lot of these communities are very remote here in Australia, and they don't have access to the same resources that you or I might when we live in the cities or close to the cities. That doesn't make an excuse necessarily for doing unsafe practices, but sometimes it does mean you have to make do with what you've got. So they are, I would suggest, making do with what they've got in the sense of knowledge and in the sense of resources. So they're using a rope to do the recovery. There's nothing wrong with using a rope for a tow recovery, because a tow recovery is where you're just pulling up the tension and then using the traction of the towing vehicle to pull the bogged vehicle out. Nothing wrong with doing that. It's when you start incorporating the kinetic recovery that we have concern. Okay, let's just watch this bit where they're actually doing that. Okay, so we can see that he's starting to pull and load him up. Now when he starts the wheel spin, he backs off, clutch in, goes again. Now we're doing kinetic recovery. Not the correct way, but we are performing kinetic recovery, and we're not working together as a team. I'll make another observation. I don't think either vehicle is actually in four-wheel drive, as best I can tell. Certainly the vehicle that's down in the water, the stuck vehicle, I can't see his front wheels turning, and his front wheels are pointing into the rocks. So either something's broken, or the driver isn't aware of where his wheels are pointing, or when we're doing the recovery, we're forcing the steering into the incorrect direction. But that's not going to work for you. You've got to solve that steering direction problem to make this recovery even start to work. And you've got to stop doing kinetic recovery when you haven't got a kinetic recovery device. So a lot to consider within all of that. Plus we've got crocodiles swimming around. And I mean, this bit where the driver of the vehicle's in there trying to connect up to the vehicle and the crocs are swimming around, I was like, yeah, not really exciting. What's he connecting up to is my next question. I know the front of these troop carriers have a really convenient spring shackle, and a lot of people use that to recover off, and that's not the best place to recover because it's got sharp edges and it's not designed for recovery. So what's he actually tying to perform the recovery? It's another consideration I've got there. Okay, so we're now getting quite a crowd of spectators and people watching. You can imagine how many people are giving input, offering their opinions. So now we're gone for a reverse recovery. They're recovering off a tow ball. Watch for that. Now that's the vehicle that's doing the towing, is using his tow ball. So you can see that come up. I suspect they're doing the same on the bogged vehicle. Now I mentioned don't recover off a tow ball, and I've been banging on about this for over 10 years, and so have a lot of other people. I've actually changed my wording from don't recover off a tow ball to don't recover off a tow hitch, which is a device like this. Okay, different countries have different solutions, but we're seeing these fail and components become a projectile and kill people. Tow balls do fail because they can fail down here, and that can become a projectile. And I know a lot of you are going to say, yeah, but it doesn't happen, and Ronnie Dale did his videos. It is happening, okay? It is happening. The next thing is they fail here at these welds in this section of the hitch, and that's because over time, down inside here, in the backside of that weld, moisture can build up and corrode away inside the hitch. Then when we do a recovery, which is loading this beyond its acceptable levels, we then can have this bottom side crack, the weld crack, and this pulls apart and all of that becomes a projectile. Don't do it, all right? Just save your life. That'd be a really good idea because we kind of like having you around on this earth. All right, the other observation I want to make is that when the vehicle's been recovered, we've got passengers in the vehicles. When you're doing any sort of recovery, whether it be a tow, winch, or kinetic recovery, don't have people, passengers or kids or anybody in the car with you. Just the drivers. Keep the people away from the situation. Okay, let's continue rolling on. Again, they're not getting the vehicle out. That's because of this side loading coming from the water pressure. It's huge amount of pressure. You can see the policeman, you can read his lips. He's saying, get out. Obviously the water's that deep now and it's getting to slack water where the crocodiles can hide in the depth of water and take someone out. So the policeman's like, get out of there, guys. Fortunately, the guys with the diggers turn up with a front end loader and using a chain, which is appropriate as long as it's strong enough, they can get the vehicle out in a nice controlled way. If you want to shoot me through a video that you'd like me to do a react on, just email it to madmat@madmat4wd.com.au. Let me know in the comments down below what you've seen here, what I've missed, what can we all learn from these videos so that we can all get out there and wheel well. If you want to watch some other reacts videos, there's plenty of them on my channel. I'm Mad Matt, stay safe on the trails.